Good morning, everybody. All right, you guys know you're glad to be here, not having to work right now. So anything I do up here is going to be a success for us today. So I want to first introduce a couple members of our team. Ray Dills, who's our videographer. A lot of the presentations we do now, we put up on our live stream program so that people can go back and watch them and actually play them for their businesses and stuff. And then Lindsay Deaton, who most of you have probably met before, our community relations coordinator, and the person that you'll be relying on to tell me when I'm through speaking today. So she'll give me the signal and I'll know that I'm done. Let me start on why we do this program. This program came just probably about, I'm going to say 2 months ago. We started looking at ways that we could reach out to our community. And one of the things that we know is we have 1,400 employees. We have 1,400 employees, cover 78 miles of coverage, 600,000 citizens trying to protect you. We can't do it by ourselves. And it took law enforcement a long time to actually say, we need to engage our public in being our eyes and ears. We need to get them involved in helping us do our job. And we have found that when we engage our public and we give them the information they need to give us the things that are going on, to tell us what's happening in the neighborhoods, to tell us what's happening at businesses and in traffic patterns, every bit of it, we do a much better job and we lower our crime rate. So B.E.L.T is Brevard Employee Lookout Team, and what we essentially started doing was going into businesses and asking our businesses to let us educate their employees on what we're going to be doing in crime prevention. You're here 8 hours a day. You guys work 8-hour shifts, right? Or 10, whatever you work, you're here during that time. There's things in here that you can be eyes and ears for us on. But when you're not here, you're at your house. You're at the mall. You're at the movie theater. You're at a restaurant. You're in all sorts of places where you immediately become our eyes and ears. I can't tell you how many times they talked about it in congressional hearings and everything else, of how many people saw things that they thought were wrong, and if they'd have reported it, may have changed the outcome of 9/11. How many people said, well, I didn't want to call because I didn't know if it was important or not. I didn't want to call because I didn't know if I was right or not. This program is about not only getting you to call, but telling you what to look for and how to call, so that we can then take it and run with it. And that's what we want to do. Listen, I could sum all this up in very simple. If that hair stands up on the back of your neck and you think something's wrong, call us. I'd rather you call us and be wrong than not call us and be absolutely right. So we're going to talk about, as we go through this, how, let me see, let me turn this on here. I think we're on here. We're going to talk about how we can use each other to help protect. When we look at our response times, for example, the best law enforcement agencies in the world have response times in minutes. Violent criminals take our lives in seconds. So you may actually see things that if you give us that up notice on, we're able to go out and we're able to get there a lot quicker, or we're able to already put a stop to it before it starts to happen. But when we look at our response times, a lot of the crimes, even from the time we get that 911 call till the time we arrive, it has already occurred, and now we're putting the pieces back together. You may be able to give us that little bit of extra that we can help. I talked about you being an extension of law enforcement. You have heard me from the day I came to Brevard County start talking about partnerships. You are our partners. We have to work together. We have to work together not only to keep this facility safe, but we have to work together to keep our community safe. It takes a community to protect a community, and that's what this program speaks to. And then the other responsibility to protecting our community. You have a stake in this too. You have family members here. You have your homes. You have your personal possessions. You have your life. All of those tie us together and give us a chance to work and make this happen. All right. We're going to start with crime prevention methods and how we do things a little bit differently. Traditional crime prevention methods, were done in person, much like I'm doing right now. We did, in last month, our team, crime prevention team, did 88 person-to-person presentations, all right? We reached 5% of our population. So that's not the method that's going to give us the information. That's not the method that's going to give you how to protect yourself. I believe we got to get you vital crime prevention information before you become a victim, not after. So when we look at in-person presentations, yeah, we do them all the time, but it doesn't give us the reachability that we need. And then when we did do them, and before, what we found is that we would come in and we'd go to a homeowners association and we would say, you know what, you had 27 burglaries in this homeowners association last month. What I just said is you had 27 victims. That's what I said. I don't want victims. I want people that are on a lookout team that are going to keep everybody else from becoming victims. That's how we put this program together. Our new crime prevention methods that we have out. Facebook. How many of you have Facebook? All right. How many of you go on your Facebook page every day? All right. How many of you share information on your Facebook pages? How many of you check in at places on your Facebook pages? You're smiling over here. I'm a little bit worried about you right now. That's exactly right. She said, what don't I do on Facebook? She's exactly right. Let me tell you, we started putting out crime prevention information and getting information sent to us on Facebook. We at times reach as many as 250,000 people a week on Facebook. We can track from our fan page. Lindsay actually runs all of our pages. She can track and tell how many people we reached and the geographic location of them from if they're in Brevard County or if they're outside of Brevard County. Think about that for a minute. We're able to deliver to 250,000 people crime prevention information with the push of a button. Well, by the same measure, we're able to get that information sent to us too. We want you to use Facebook to talk to us. Yes, it gives us a great example. She gets dings on her phone all the time where somebody sent us a message. Those messages are now starting to roll in. I know where a fugitive's at. I know who did the bank robbery. I know where a missing kid is. All of those things we've already done off of our Facebook page, all because it's the push of a button and it's instantaneous to us. I never want Facebook to take the place of 911. I never want you to say, I'm going to send them a Facebook message rather than calling 911 when there's an emergency going on. You'd be surprised how many people do it and you go, man, I wish they'd have called us on the phone. Facebook is that mechanism for you to give us that information that we can start to work on. But there's others out there. We are right now in the process of creating our own app. We had one. We really didn't like the way it worked, so we're actually moving forward with our own smartphone app. Smartphone, it'll go to your desktop, it'll go to your iPad, whatever it is that you work from. And you not only will be able to get instantaneous information from us, where when we push a button and say, we just had a bank robbery at such and such location, we're looking for a silver vehicle, you can text us back and say, I know whose vehicle that is, or I just saw that vehicle parked in the parking lot. Whatever it is, you'll be able to deliver it to us. And one of the things we have found is that you knowing how to deliver that information to us is what really makes it easier for you. Because a lot of people go, well, should I call 911? Should I not call at all? Once we give it to you and tell you how to do it, it's going to work a lot better. We're able to instantly, with our social media, with our TV and stuff, we're able to instantly provide citizens with the information to protect themselves. But you're able to provide us with information to protect you too. And that's what we need. You're going to see me talk today about how to spot a narcotics house, how to spot human trafficking, how to spot identity theft, all of these things that we need you to be our eyes and ears for. We are asking for you to take part in this and be a player with us. You also, as I said, we have Brevard Sheriff TV that you will see. You can access it from your desktop. I don't know if that's permissible at work, but it's all of our programs are up. We're doing some neat stuff on Brevard Sheriff TV. It's a live stream. We even do our swear-ins live on it. We've got some neat things that are coming out. Some different and innovative ideas to be able to give you information. We have a show called On the Go with BCSO that tells you everything going on in the county with our sheriff's office. We have a show called Fugitive Hunt that tells you about our top 10 fugitives of the week that we're actually looking for. I had a different plan. I wanted Wheel of Fugitive is what I wanted. They shot me down on that. They said they thought it was a little bit crazy. I purposely, I mean, can you see that? A big wheel and we spin it and people's pictures pop up. I thought it was a good idea, but nobody else went with me on it. We have Crime Prevention Jeopardy that is coming out. We're going to actually be getting people from throughout the community, just everyday members of our community that'll come in. We'll give them a study packet, and then they're going to play Jeopardy against each other. And it'll be, I'll take credit card fraud for $200, and then it'll pop up the question, and you got to answer it and stuff. We have a show coming out called Cop Shot. If you've ever seen the show Top Shot on TV, where the everyday citizens compete against each other in shooting stuff, we're going to do that. We're going to have 8 members of our community compete with 8 members of our agency in a cop shot. And our thing is also going to be about gun safety and the different things that go with it. So we've got a lot of neat, innovative ideas that are coming out. The thing about Brevard Sheriff TV is it's live stream, so you can watch it live or you can go back and pull it out of the archives. Today, for example, another unit out of this hospital could next week say, we're going to do a power lunch and we're going to play this presentation for our employees. They go up and pull it off the computer and they can actually play it right over the PowerPoint It accesses to Facebook, YouTube, any TV that has internet connectivity, your desktop, even Xbox and PlayStation will pick up on BrevardSheriffTV.com. So please start following us on it as we go. All right, what types of crime trends do we see here? I'm always asked, what kind of crimes do you see juveniles doing? The answer is every kind. There is no differentiation between, well, juveniles don't do this type of crime. They do every type of crime. So when we start looking at groups of juveniles and things like that that are hanging out, we always know that if they're left unattended, then there's going to become problems with it. So we'll talk a little bit about juvenile crimes. Burglaries, we see so many different forms of burglaries and everything else that take place from throughout our community. I'll give you an example of us getting you to be our eyes and ears. Suntry. How many of you live in Suntry? Anybody live in Suntry? You know the burglars we were having there, John, for a while there. We were getting beat with the pillowcase burglars. We did a in-person presentation to about 220 members of the community. We went in. We told them everything. You know, we were the worst about holding stuff close to our vest. We wouldn't tell you what the vehicle looked like, or we wouldn't tell you this because we scared somebody to rat us out and tell that we knew. Well, now we tell you everything. We tell you, this is the type of vehicle we're looking for. This is the MO they're using. This is how they do it. This is what we want you to do, da, da, da. We went into Suntree on a Thursday night, told them that this was what we were facing. This is the type of vehicles, everything else. And even told them that our team and our analytical team had put together that Thursday is the most likely day of the week that the crimes will happen on. And the following Thursday, a lady that had been to our presentation saw a vehicle that matched what we had been talking about. And it was just a bland vehicle, but the type with the windows and everything. She called us. One of our deputies was around the corner, actually heading to work, went in, stopped the car, a 13-mile chase ensues, and we end up catching them where they'd already hit 6 houses in the neighborhood. All because a neighbor calls us and tells us what's going on. So it's imperative that we get you the information. Economic crimes, Brevard County ranks 26th in the nation in the most incidents of identity theft and credit card fraud. 26th in the nation. We're compared to populations of 100,000 or more, Boston, Los Angeles, you name it, we rank 26th in the nation. A lot of that's because of our senior population that drives it up. The biggest part of it is the state of Florida ranks #1 in the country, has for the last 10 years. But since they rank #1 and we're the 9th largest state in the county, we're going to be up high in that mechanism. Narcotics. I can tell you right now that when I took over, or right before I took over as sheriff, the biggest thing we were facing was over-the-counter medications. That, in fact, we had lost 5,000 members of our community. 1,000 members of our community in the past 5 years from death to prescription medications. When we looked at that, we're looking at the dynamics of how it changes our rehabilitative processes, our Medicaid processes, everything else that goes into it. We're looking at a huge dynamic. But now what we're seeing is another shift. We're seeing, in fact, I was sitting yesterday having lunch with my son. He's a state trooper, he's a canine officer, and he's telling me the big thing right now is hash oil that's coming back. Hash oil hasn't been a big problem for us in forever, and now it's coming back. Why do you think it's coming back? What do you think would be the trigger to hash oil? I was shocked, all right? I get educated by my son who stays up on all the drug stuff because that's what he does. What would you think?
What is it?
Hash oil is a form of cannabis, but it's in a smoking form that it comes, all right? You just hit it, the electric cigarettes. That's exactly right. That's what's driving it through the roof. It gives them another mechanism to consume it through and everything else, and so it's seen a change. Violent crime and gangs. Do we have those here? Violent crime, we absolutely do. Do we have gangs? We absolutely do. A lot of people sit and go, well, do we have traditional gangs like the Bloods, the Crips, all of the others? Yes, we have those. We don't have them at the volume that other places are troubled by them. But what we have are localized gangs. We have gangs that start in a little small piece of a condominium complex or an apartment complex, and they grow and grow and grow. And before you know it, what you're dealing with is a localized gang that is now more problematic than any of the others have become. So yes, we have those, and we put in some mechanisms to deal with it. Human trafficking. Do we have human trafficking here? You know, you'd be amazed how many people go, I don't think so. I don't think we have that. Let me tell you, when you look at human trafficking, what you will find is there's 3 major mechanisms that they put people into work. If I abduct somebody and put them into a human trafficking role, I'm going to put them to work in the agriculture industry. Do we have that in Brevard County? Absolutely. I'm going to put them to work in the hospitality industry. Do we have that in Brevard County? We sure do. Hotels, cruise ships, everything else. And then if that's not the place for them, I'm going to put them in the sex slave industry. And I can take that anywhere. There is no place in the world that's not a profitable industry. So yes, we have to be on the lookout here for those as well. DUI. You'd be amazed how many people will drive down the road, see someone that is obviously driving impaired, and not call us, not pick up the phone and call us because they're scared they're wrong or they're scared to get involved. I need you to get involved. I need you to take that step. Listen, if we pull them over and there's nothing wrong with them, I'll give you a perfect example. I go out as much as I can and I get in the car with one of our deputies and I ride around. I'm hoping I'll be involved in an arrest because I never get to arrest anybody anymore. But I go out and I ride around. Not long ago, probably about 3 months ago, I went and rode with one of our guys and as soon as we got in the car, we got a call of a possible intoxicated driver going northbound on 95. We were right there. We get on the exchange and we pull over and poof, here a car comes by. It says an SUV. Pull it over. It's a lady driving the car. She's not intoxicated. In fact, she was very well in control of her faculties. But she had 4 dogs that she was traveling, and she had 4 dogs that were running around in her car, and she's trying to get them under control and stuff, and she's all over the road and dealing with it. All right, that's not somebody we're carrying to jail. That's somebody we got to have a little talk with and say, you got to get them in, get them in a little cage or something, so that you're not going to kill yourself or somebody else with it. So it's not always as bad as it looks, but it's definitely worth us looking at. So please do it. And then domestic violence. Everybody can hear their neighbors. You'd be amazed how many times we have something bad happen, and when we go and do a neighborhood canvas, the neighbor says, oh, I used to hear them over there all the time going at it, yelling and screaming at each other and everything. It continues to grow and it continues to get bigger and bigger. So we need you to be involved in all of those areas and all of those types of crime trends, because every one of them impacts us right here. How do we contact us? All right, 911 for emergency. We want you to call 911. If it's somebody driving erratically or something like that, you can call 911. Non-emergencies, all of this information is on our website. It's available at brevardsheriff.com. iWatch is the program, the app we had. We're actually in the process of revamping it, so it's down right now. Facebook, you got 2 options. You can go to Brevard Sheriff Official, which is one of our Facebook pages, or you can go to Sheriff Wayne Ivey. Once you like those pages, you're going to get all of our updates. You're going to be able to communicate directly with us. If it's 2 o'clock in the morning, I promise you, she is going to get that personal message you send us or that post and put it on there. Don't be afraid to personal message us. We respond to every personal message we get on Facebook. If you send us one that says, I know where this person's living at and they're a fugitive, we are not going to take and involve you. We're going to give it to our fugitive unit and let them run with it and everything. So we're trying to give you as many outlets as you can. Email. You can go to brevardsheriff.com and sign up for community alerts. You will get emails that tell you everything that's going on. You create your own profile. If you don't want to get information on certain aspects of crime, you don't check off on those boxes. If you want to get sex offenders that moved into your area or that may or may not moved into your area, if you want to get fugitives, all of that stuff, you can do it through brevardsheriff.com by signing up on the community alerts. We had a lady actually reach out for us on Facebook the other day. Her and her husband are moving to the area. They had found a house they liked, and they had done a search, because you can go off of our website. You can also search for sex offenders in the area. They had done a search and found somebody that lived in the area that was a registered sex offender, and they felt like they were within 1,000 feet of a park or a school in violation. We got the information, we sent it to our sex offender registration team. They went out and actually measured the distance of where it was using actual going out to the site and using overlay maps and stuff to make sure that person was not violating the restrictions of their conditions of being an offender. So every piece of information you give us, we are going to process. We are going to try and work in. Don't think that it's falling on deaf ears, because it's not. You can always call us anonymously. Even on our app that we're putting in, you can text us, and there's a way to block your cell phone so that we don't even know who it is. You can also go to Crime Line, 1-800-423-TIPS, and Crime Line offers a reward for some of the different crimes that are out there. All right, other things that we need you to turn your head on. Suspicious vehicles. You'd be amazed how many people, when we have something that happens, comes back and tells us, that car was there for a week and I thought something was wrong, but I didn't call anybody. And then we go and we find that somebody's deceased in the car, or that the car was stolen or something of that nature. Anything that strikes you, I'm a big believer in that God gave all of us the gift of fear, that hair that stands up on the back of your neck, that makes you a little bit worried about what's going on. Anything that makes that hair stand up, call us. We will tell you, we'll give you feedback too. We'll say, hey, we checked on it. It wasn't what you thought it was. This is what it was. We'll give you that feedback. But call us. You're not gonna hurt our feelings. Vacant homes. We are seeing, with all the different homes that have had foreclosures and everything on them, we're seeing people go in and take up residency in the vacant homes. They're trashing the places. They're turning some of the vacant homes into meth labs, actually going in, making them very destructive in the neighborhoods, things like that. If you have a vacant home and you start seeing people around it and it's suspicious, call us. We will come out and check on it. I'll give you a perfect example. In Clay County, about 2 years ago, the neighbors called in about some people that had taken up residency in a house that had been foreclosed on. The deputies went to the door, and unfortunately, what they walked up on was a meth lab, and they fired through the door and killed one of the deputies that was responding from Clay County. There is no way to be sure that it's okay, so let us do it. Call us and let us go check on that and deal with it. Any unusual activity, and there's really no way to define unusual activity other than to say it doesn't meet the norm. It's not what you normally see in your neighborhood, or it's something that's happened at the mall and you just went on it. Newspapers piling up. People always ask me, why would you put that in here? We often, unfortunately, we go to a house where we do an attempt to contact. Somebody from Connecticut has called us and said, my mom or dad aren't answering their phone calls. Can you go by the house and check on them? And we go there and there's a pile of newspapers in the front of the yard where the neighbors didn't call us and say, hey, something's wrong. And then we go in and they've unfortunately passed away. Most of the time by natural causes, but still it's something that we could have reacted on sooner. Animal cruelty. When we first started taking over or putting on this program, I had not decided to take over animal control. I'm still not sure what made me do that in the first place. I'm going to have some medical tests done to see what I was thinking of. But we are starting an animal cruelty unit in response to taking over animal control. We're starting an animal cruelty unit that is big or small. We don't care if it's a horse, whatever it is, a parrot. You call us. Give us a chance to work that. You see it. Now, to be honest with you, we get more phone calls about animal cruelty than we do about anything else. People get very passionate and they get involved in it. The dog's been tied to a tree or the dog's freezing and stuff like that. We're going to go out and check on that, and we're going to work with Animal Services, which now will be an inclusive part of our agency. Child abuse and neglect. You know it. You see it in your neighborhood. Neglect can be anything from they don't have the proper clothing on to they're being left outside. If you ever want to do something that will totally change your life about looking at things from a different perspective, especially in the child abuse, there's a book out there, and it's called The Death of a Child and Nobody Listened. It's about a young girl by the name of Ursula Sunshine Adid. Her parents named her Ursula Sunshine Adid, so her initials would be USA. And her mom and dad got divorced. They were over in Winter Park, if I remember correctly, and the stepdad started methodically torturing the child and leaving the child tied to a tree in the backyard. There were so many warning signs that could have saved that child's life that didn't. And you have a chance to see some of these things and be able to help us. Call us. I'd much rather go over there, knock on the door and be wrong than knock on the door later and you be right. Vehicles without tags, anything suspicious with a vehicle, even to the point where if you see somebody sitting in a neighborhood that just not supposed to be there, it's not the neighbor's car, it's not anybody else, call us. We're seeing cases right now where they're sitting in neighborhoods waiting on people to put their garage doors up because they have the technology to clone garage door openers. And so they sit there, they wait on you to put your garage door up, they clone it, and now when you leave, they're able to go in and do it with the cloning and stuff. So anything that stands out, you need to call us on. Don't take action into your own hands. I'm going to ask you, your actions become calling us. That's what we want. Call us, Facebook us, whatever it is. You know if it's something that you need to call 911 on and be able to tell us this is happening right now, get here. Or if it's a fugitive that you can Facebook us on. You'll know the difference. But no matter what, I don't want you to take things into your own hands. Now, when does that change? When does that change for us to tell you to take things into your own hand? You know when you see something that's happening and you have a chance to save somebody's life, even though you may be putting your own life at risk, you're the one that's going to have to make that decision. If you make that decision, you make sure that you're not putting anybody else at risk by taking your action, and you make sure that your plan is going to work and you've practiced your plan. How many of you remember the school board meeting out in the Panhandle where the guy went in with a gun? Has anybody seen that? Who's the one person that takes action in that? You remember? It was the little old lady with her purse. Remember that? She tried to hit him from behind the door with her purse. I admire her passion, but it wasn't a very good plan. I'm going to be honest with you. But she wasn't taking no for an answer. She was being aggressive in it. I ask you to let us take action unless it is in that split-second time frame that you have to. There was just a few months ago a bank robbery in Palm Bay where the person that was in there, former LEO, had his gun on, was able to intercede and stop the bank robbery. You got to make that decision, but you got to also make sure that it's thought out and you know how to protect yourself. That ties right into the second bullet, don't confront the suspicious person. If you can get the information and get it to us, we are able to act upon it and be able to take somebody, get them off the streets and put them in custody. And as I said, you got to consider everyone else's safety before engaging. Don't drive erratically. If you see a DUI person and you're trying to stay up with them, if they're driving 90 miles an hour, you're putting yourself at risk and everybody else if you're driving at 90 miles an hour too. Get on the phone with us, tell us what mile marker they're at or where they are, get us the tag number and the description of it. If you're going in that direction, you can stay close, that's great, but I don't want you doing the same craziness they're doing. And then don't think it's not important. If you don't think it's important, it probably is. We need to be focused on it. What to do when we arrive. If you're still on scene, let law enforcement take over. We teach a course right now. In fact, I would really think it'd be a great course for your folks here. It's an active shooter course, and it is what to do when that active shooter happens. And it's taught by one of our SWAT team members, J.J. Woolsey, who comes in, and he talks about run, hide, and fight is the three things that we really push for you to do. But another part of that is what to do when the cavalry arrives. How to pull back, throttle back, and let us do what we're supposed to do, and how to get us the information. Let us take over. We'll get engaged as soon as we get there. Stay around at the scene. If you're there and you've seen something, please hang around and give us as many details as you can. If you have to leave, reach out for us and say, hey, I was at that scene. Have somebody come by my house. I had to get home to my kids. Have somebody come by. I'll tell you what I saw. We're just as happy with that. And then stay at the scene until law enforcement secures the scene, if at all possible. All right, I'm going to go back now to this part, and I'm going to talk to you about what I want you to look for, what I need you to be suspicious of. In juvenile crimes, one of the biggest parts that we see is when they congregate together. When we start seeing them hang out together, whether they're hanging out in the neighborhood or they're hanging out at the movie theater. Anytime that we have that age group that starts congregating together, what we start to see is crime trends. It may be they're breaking into cars in the parking lot at the mall. It may be that they're doing drugs. It may be a combination of both of them. But when you see that congregation starting to happen, you tell us, especially if it's in your neighborhood or it's in a place that we're not apt to already know what's going on. Get us the information. Any kids that are coming to your door that are trying to sell you stuff, I want you to be concerned about it from two aspects. One, is the stuff that they're selling you or trying to get you to do stolen? And two, are they young enough that they could actually be victims in a human trafficking ring? That's the second component of this that we need you to be aware of. So, like I said at the very beginning, it's hard to really pinch and say this is the type of crimes juveniles are doing and how to watch for them. If you're seeing a group of kids that are left unattended, sounds bad to say, but we got to be a little bit concerned, especially if they're hanging around the neighborhood and everything else. All right, burglaries. Any suspicious vehicle that is in your neighborhood, call us. People coming to your door, knocking on your door and saying, hey, we're doing the neighbor's landscaping. Thought we'd see if you wanted us to start doing your landscaping. No, you call us right away. Get the tag number, let us know. The group that I spoke about earlier in Suntree, for example, they would go to the door, knock on the door. When you open the door, they would tell you that landscaping thing, and you said no, they left. If you didn't open the door, then they went around to the back of your house and broke in through the back sliding glass door and gained entry into your house and stuffed everything in the pillowcase and ran. So somebody coming to your door trying to sell you something or doing anything like that, even if you're able to intercede and keep it from happening at your house, call us. We will come out and check them out. Even if we come out and check them out and we don't have anything to arrest them on. We just field ID'd them, so we know what they look like, we know what they're driving, we know who they are, and we're able, believe it or not, that's a deterrent in itself because they're going to go somewhere else. So call us. Don't think that it's not important. How many of you have had somebody knock on your door and try and sell you meat, that they're out? They got this extra thing of meat. Yeah, that's the big one. They knock on the door. If you answer, then they give you this thing. If you don't, then they're going to do more damage through breaking in. Any type of suspicious cars in the neighborhood. If you're driving home at night and you see a car parked where it shouldn't be parked, call us. We will come check it out. That's what we do. That's how we make a lot of our cases. Economic crimes. One of the biggest victims of economic crimes are seniors. Whether it's your parents or whether you here in your abilities at the hospital are seeing someone that could be put in a situation where somebody's taking advantage of them. We need you to call us. Any of the scams you get. How many of you have gotten a call? Actually, I'll break it down. A phone call, an email, or a text message that ended up being a scam. How many of you have gotten that? Every one of us get it, all right? You want to see something entertaining, there's a website called 419-EATER, E-A-T-E-R. 419 is the penal code for fraud in Nigeria. I don't know where the EATER part comes from, but 419-EATER will show you every new scam that's coming that's already out there. You can look at it and it'll tell you all the different ones. It's amazing to me that people fall for some of these. It's just absolutely frightening. But I can tell you, they wouldn't be doing them if they weren't making money off of them. Now, the problem is they're probably sitting in another country at an IP address that we would never be able to arrest anybody, but at least we're able to put out intel bulletins and everything else on these scams. There's a very simple fix for the scams. Please share it with your parents, anybody that you have care over. If they call you, if they text you, if they email you, or if it's a pop-up and it asks for anything, hang up the phone, delete the message. If it asks you how your day is, hang up the phone. If it's not somebody you know, then it's going to end up costing you, and it's going to cost you big. It also works with people you do know. For example, if my daughter calls me, I don't answer the phone because I know she's going to want money. So if I answer the phone, I'm going to be hit. So it works with people you do know as well. But don't fall for the scams. If you start getting those scams that are calling you or emailing you, let us know, because they're not only targeting you, they're targeting thousands of other people, and we can put out, as soon as that new scam comes up, we'll put out a bulletin that says, hey, be mindful of this. We had one that they were calling, you may remember it, we put it in the paper. They were calling saying they were a lieutenant with the sheriff's office, and you hadn't paid your red light camera that you had ran, and so you had to pay it. They'd accept credit card, everything else. There's another scam that was out there that we put out that they were calling saying that you were being subpoenaed or summoned for jury, and you had to give them your social security number to verify you had accepted the subpoena. No, we don't do, that's not the way we do business, but we need to get that information out. So any of the scams, anything that you hear, or anytime you become a victim of credit card fraud, a lot of times the credit card companies will tell you, you don't need to report this to law enforcement because you're not a victim, you're not out any money. Yes, you are. The moment somebody uses your information, whether it's your name or your credit card, without your permission, you're a victim. Doesn't matter if you're out $1 or nothing, you're a victim. So call us, because what happens is you become the victim of credit card fraud. Your credit card company wipes it out, gives you a new card, so you go on your way. But there's somebody else about to become a victim because we didn't have a chance to look at how you became a victim. Maybe you got caught in a skimming operation at a local restaurant, and so now we get 5 calls, and when we start looking at them, they all ate at the same restaurant. Now we just identified our point of compromise, and we go there and we're able to keep somebody else from becoming a victim. So call us, alert us to the information, give us a chance to work it. Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. Yeah. She said, if you couldn't hear her, she said that her son just got hit at a gas station with a skimmer at the gas pumps, and her credit card company called him, and the same thing, they reissue a card and everybody goes on. But there's about 1,000 more people going to become victims of that if we don't figure it out. And so our team, we started an economic crimes unit. They do a great job at sorting through that. And if nothing else, even if the device is already gone before we get to it, at least we're able to let people know, hey, this happened. Check your statement if you got gas at this place. All of those things are possibilities for us. All right. Violent crime. Yes. Sure. Absolutely.
These skimmers,
Mm-hmm.
it's so so close to what it normally looks like that
Hmm?
people can't tell the difference?
Yeah. His question is a skimmer so close to what it normally looks like that you can't tell the difference? Miss Lindsay, I see you getting in your purse, so I know you got my stuff bringing it up. Basically, the technology is this. It comes in different forms, but this is the technology from it. And these are credit card skimmers. All it takes, I don't want the numbers on the front. I want the mag stripe on the back. I want that information. To do that with this version, done. All right. To do it at a gas pump, they use what's called an inline skimmer. Same technology. They open the door up to the pump. They actually go inside and they plug in the inline skimmer, which is really just a cord with a reservoir on it. And when they put it in between the 2 points, when your card goes in the gas pump, it now captures your card. Now, they put it inside the pump. So there's 2 versions. One is what we call a ghost or an overlay that goes on the outside of the pump. Not a lot of those being used anymore. They actually take a mold and make it look like the outside they put over it. Not a lot of them being used because now the technology is the inline skimmer. They open up the door. Most gas pumps throughout the country are manufactured by Jabarco or Wayne. They have universal keys because the customer service rep has to be able to get in the pump to change the ribbon and everything else in there. So once I compromise the key, I've compromised it for all of them. You've actually seen some of the, in fact, most of the gas stations now have gone to putting a little piece of tape, almost like we do with evidence, a piece of evidence tape up there so that it's a seal over the door so you know the door hasn't been opened. This is what I always tell everybody. If I'm crafty enough to come up with this, I'm probably crafty enough to come up with a little seal that you'll think is making everything okay. So they open the door up, they put it in. The one thing that I will tell you is from a protection model on that is usually, let's say there's 4 rows of pumps. Row 1, row 2, row 3, row 4. If that's the store, if the store is at that end, most of the time when we recover the inline skimmer, it's in that gas pump or it's in that gas pump. It'll be in the 2 pumps or one of the pumps farthest away from the store and outside of the sight of the customer service rep. Because if they do it inside lanes, the customer service rep can look out the window. When they open the door up, they can actually see them doing it and they call the police and they get their tag and everything else. On the outside, they're shielded from the vision of the customer service rep. They come up usually with a big van that they park right in front of it. They'll open the door up, they put the device in, and then they leave. The device is Bluetooth, so they don't even have to go back into the pump. They just pull up beside it like they're getting gas now, the next day, and it uploads all the data that they've actually been able to get. This is an older version of a one that you would see in a restaurant. This is the new technology. This one holds 100. This one holds 1,000. This one, I have to plug up to my computer to get the data. This one's Bluetooth. So technology is completely changing the game. But to answer your question, yes, they will make it look so good, or you won't see it in the gas pump. The other place we worry about this is at an ATM. They'll go in on a time when the bank's closed. They'll wear their big floppy hat and sunglasses so the cameras don't pick them up or don't identify them. They go in, they measure it, they take a plaster cast of it, they take photographs of it, of the current ATM. They then go back to their shop and they build an ATM or an overlay, what we call, that actually will look like the one that's there. So here's what your ATM looks like. They build one that just looks just the same of it, and they affix it to the front of it with epoxy. They'll go in on a Saturday afternoon when the bank's closed. So now that's when a lot of the traffic's coming because a lot of people are going to be going out and everything. There's nobody at the bank that can see them do it, and there's nobody at the bank that's going to be able to check on it. And now every credit card that goes through there has now been skimmed. The difference with the ATMs, or most of them that we see, is when you put your credit card in, the ATM won't work. It creates a little bit of a distance between the real reader, and so the card doesn't go in far enough for it to actually work, and so you're not going to be able to do a transaction. Really no way you're going to know it. You're not going to be able to see enough change in that ATM to know not to put your card in it. The only warning sign that a lot of times we get is they try to herd you like cattle. They will go to the other ATMs in the area and they'll put a sign that says out of service. Then they'll stuff cardboard in the one at Publix, and then there's only one other ATM in the local area. So now you go to that ATM and now you're doing the transaction. So they herd everybody to where they want to do it. You see an ATM that's out of order at your bank, it ought to register with you something's wrong, especially if your bank has 2 ATMs, a drive up and a walk up. If the drive up is out of order, don't go to that walk-up. In fact, call the bank and say, hey, are you sure your ATM's okay? Most of the time, the bank doesn't even know there's a sign on it because they do it on a Saturday afternoon or after the bank's closed. Yes?
I have a question. When I go to the gas station, I always try to jiggle that thing where you put your credit card in. Does it make any sense?
It used to. Yeah, it used to. And what I really like about it is you're actually thinking about it. You're trying to take action. It used to be more important to do that because they would do the overlay with the gas pumps. They've gotten away from that. Now, it doesn't mean that there's not still some out there that do it, but the majority of them are opening up the door and putting it inside where you're never going to see it. But it's always good to test it and see. The big thing is to watch your credit card account. I love people that monitor their credit card account. You can actually go into most of your credit card companies now and set it up where if a certain transaction occurs, you get a text message or an email that tells you your credit card was just used for such and such. Most people set a $50 threshold or a $25 threshold. I really like for you to set $1 on it because it's going to trigger you every time somebody uses your credit card. And if I clone your credit card, if I take this credit card and I clone it, the first thing I'm going to do before I go in and try and make a big purchase with it is I'm going to go to a gas station and I'm going to see if it'll start the pump. I'll do a $1 transaction at the pump. So when you see that $1 that pops up on your screen, now you go, oh, wait a minute, what just happened? Who tried to use my credit card? Especially on your bank cards, you'll see a $1 transaction, even a legitimate one. If you're somebody that does online banking, you'll see a transaction on your credit card. You stopped and got gas at whatever gas station, you'll see a transaction for $1. The next day, that $1 will come off because that was to start the pump, and then you'll see the $56 where you pay to get gas. But when they're testing it, it won't come off. It'll stay on there, and now you know. So a couple different things you can do. But the important thing is, at any point you realize that there's something going on, call us. Let us know. Give us a chance to go check it out and deal with it. All right. Narcotics. You know the warning signs, the congregating people at the houses, the car that pulls up is there for 2 minutes and then leaves. All of those things in your neighborhood we need to know about. If you see a transaction happen at a certain place, that a drug deal goes down, call us and let us know. Send us a Facebook message, say, hey, I just saw a transaction happen at such and such. Because we're all creatures of habit, so are dope dealers. They will go back to that same spot. That's their safety zone. And so all of their customers, they have them meet them there. We set up surveillance, and now we start gathering all the details and data that we need to be able to do it. So if you see it, if it's at a house, houses that are abnormal, things that start to happen. For example, you see somebody that moves in and you never see them. Probably a little bit of something to be worried about. They move in and they immediately add another air conditioner to the house. They're doing an indoor grow, especially if they're renting the house. You'd be amazed now where they go and rent somebody's house and they set up an indoor grow operation inside that house and completely destroy it. They're going to have the ventilation and everything. You're going to be able to see the extra air conditioners, or you never see light through the windows because they've blacked all the windows out so that you can't see the big ballast and everything going. Any of those things should trigger to you. Call us. Give us a clue. Smell of marijuana. All right. If you smell marijuana, then it's there. It's not your imagination. It's not a tomato plant that got wet. It's marijuana. You know what it smells like. There's nothing else in the world smells like it. So if you smell it, call us. We will come and deal with it, and you can let us know what's going on. Certainly, one of the biggest indicators for us is a house that has a lot of traffic at it, and it'll be short-lived traffic. It'll be pop at the door, they go in, they come back out, they get in their car and leave. The next car comes up. You start seeing those in your neighborhood, call us. Send it to us on Facebook. We'll have our team go and check it out. Violent crime, those are crimes that are going to happen in split seconds. The bank robberies, the shootings, everything like that. You're probably not going to have a lot of prior notice on that, although on the gang activity you will. On gang activity, you start seeing any type of graffiti that's going up, any type of people all wearing the same color, especially with our juveniles, call us and let us know. If you know of a place that's got graffiti on it, we take our inmates out and we have a group that's called Graffiti Busters. They actually go out, we get paint from the landfill where people dump their paint off. We get the paint and we go paint over all the graffiti, because the longer the graffiti stays, the more the gangs are attentive to it. So we want to get it knocked out. We do it, in fact, it's a service we provide for businesses. If a business gets painted over with graffiti, we take the inmates and we go paint their that wall back for them so that they're not having to deal with it, and the gangs aren't congregating there. Human trafficking. This is one that we really have to be on the lookout for. It's not an in-your-face crime. In fact, it's just the opposite. They're trying to keep it from you, trying to keep every signal from you. But the signals are there. In fact, we teach this course to a lot of our realtors because they're in the houses all the time. They see different things. You are going to nail salons. You're going to restaurants and places like that. One of the key indicators for human trafficking is they won't make eye contact with you. If they're a victim of human trafficking, they are conditioned to not talk to you. They're conditioned. In fact, if they start to talk to you and they look away at somebody that's giving them the evil eye, you should be calling us. As soon as you leave that place, give us a call, because that's where they go to. They go into the nail salons. They go into the hospitality locations, stuff like that, and put them into forced labor scenarios. Houses that, again, almost like the drug house, but you won't see the congregating of cars. You'll see a van pull up, go into the garage, and then you don't see the van until the next day. You start seeing stuff like that, it ought to be an indicator to you. Do not worry about calling us and being wrong. Just call us. We'll deal with it and handle it. DUI we already talked about, and then domestic violence. There's so many opportunities for us to stop domestic violence. There's so many times that we can actually hear that fight happening, get the police there. If a fight's going on at your neighbor's house, it's loud enough for you to be hearing it, it's probably got the capabilities of escalating even further. And we'll come, we'll respond to it, we'll diffuse it, hopefully get them to calm down, or somebody go stay somewhere else for the night. Most of the domestic violence, not all of it, but a lot of the domestic violence cases we deal with are alcohol or drug related. So when we get there, there's usually something that we can engage and be a part of. So try and basically be our eyes and ears. How many of you, if something was, if you had an ailment right now, if your foot was hurting, like I'm dealing with gout right now, how many of you would go Google search and see what all the symptoms are of what's going on? Every one of us do that, right? Go Google search crime. Go Google search what are the tips, or what are the warning signs of burglary and economic crimes and everything else. Be just as engaged and just as curious about crime as you would on those other things, and educate yourself on it. It's hard for me to do it in a 45-minute presentation, but go educate yourself on crime. Google search and say, today I'm going to learn about human trafficking and find out all the things about it. Tomorrow, go look up identity theft and all the tricks of trade. You're doing two things. One, you're becoming stronger eyes and ears for us, and two, you're creating a layer of protection for yourself, because you're actually going to be educating yourself on it, and education and awareness is the key to it. So that's essentially what we want you to do. We want you to become our eyes and ears. We want you to not be concerned about calling us. In fact, I'd rather you call us 10 times and be wrong every time than not call us at all. So that's what our program is. Now let me ask or answer any questions. Yes.
Well, one thing to keep myself interested in what's going on, and this may sound kind of weird, on Friday night, I go to my boyfriend's house and we have pizza with his son, and then we play a little game. We look at the mug shots for the past week and we try to guess the last few what they look like in the day.
Yep.
And I'm serious. I mean, you look at these people.
Wow. We might need her with BrevardSheriffTV.com. So you like my Wheel of Fugitive game, didn't you? See?
But let's do a triple wheel.
Yeah,
Okay?
I like it.
But you'd be surprised that the people that are in your neighborhood that you recognize and realize, wow, he just lives down in the corner, he did that, or even people you work with.
Yep. Yeah, and you're right.
No, I'm
You know,
serious. You would be surprised at
I will tell you,
what is out there.
and again, it's a great way to educate yourself, even on the crimes that are going on, the different types of crime. But I will tell you, having the relationship that I have with the local media outlets and stuff, the number one most looked at thing on any type of newspaper, online newspaper, the number one thing that's looked at are the mugshots. That's the most. In fact, there's a piece of legislation going through right now that I totally oppose. It's a piece of legislation that's going through that would stop us from being able to put up mugshots and put it out. I totally oppose it. It is, listen, the reason, and I get the idea of it. The reason is there's organizations out there there are companies that now take the mug shots because they're public record, and you get arrested, Bill gets arrested, and Bill gets acquitted, and so his mug shot is still out there. To get it off of there, he has to pay that company to take that down. And so the bill is aimed at trying to stop that, and I get that, but the bill would even stop me if a person got arrested for sexual battery. The bill would even stop me from using that photograph to put out an intel bulletin about the individual to the public, to be able to say, hey, this person we just captured for doing 2 sexual batteries. If you have any information, call us. It would stop all of that. So, but the mug shots are the number one thing that people go and look at. So, yes. She said, what's the rule of thumb for calling the sheriff's office versus Palm Bay PD or it's where you live? Call the location or call the agency that's impacted in your jurisdiction. Now, the trick to that is you may live in Palm Bay and obviously work in Melbourne. So, you're going to be dealing with it. If it's a 911, you don't have to worry about it. It's going to route to the closest thing. Right. Yeah, and that's we started a crime prevention task force, and the stuff that I'm giving out today, Melbourne PD is giving out as well. We're all partnered together. In fact, I will tell you, I'm very proud of this. When we started the crime prevention task force, I tasked Lindsay and the team with let's find some other models of crime prevention task force that are out there. And the best compliment you can give somebody is to copy what they do. So we started looking. There were no other models of crime prevention task forces. There was narcotics task forces. There was violent crime task forces. There was identity theft task forces, all to work the case that had already happened. But nobody had ever pulled their resources together and said, we are going to try and keep people from becoming a victim using our resources compiled together. So we started what looks like it's the first in the country, Brevard County Crime Prevention Task Force. It's us, Melbourne, Palm Bay, Cocoa, Titusville, Rockledge, all combined in it. And we all give out the same information. So Chief Mims would be giving out the same information. It would have his star up there versus ours, or his shield versus our star. But we all want you to call. We're all uniformed in that. What else? What else can I ask? Yes.
I was totally oblivious to the whole scamming thing. So a couple months ago, my boyfriend has his own lawn service, but it's Sebastian. He stopped at the same gas station every day on Malabar Road and filled up his truck, his trailer, his motor.
Right.
And when they went to that grocery store, he said, "Put the money in your account." Went across the street to the bank. He said, "Were you in Orlando last weekend?" He said, "No, I was in Sebastian Road all weekend." They pretty much emptied his
Oh yeah,
account.
they will.
I will never swipe my card and pump again.
Yeah.
The only way you're safe is to not pay the pump.
Yeah. But she said the only way you're safe is to not pay at the pump. The problem there is if you go inside and that person's got one of these, then you're doomed as well. But you're in a catch-22. There is no doubt. So.
I had no idea it was happening at multiple gas stations on Malabar Road.
Oh, it happens across the country. I can tell you, I'll go back to, I'm going to say 1997, 98. I actually was running the statewide task force on identity theft for FDLE at the time. And I brought all of the major oil companies together in a meeting in Tallahassee. I said, how do we stop this credit card fraud that's going on at the pumps, the skimming and the using skimmed credit cards at the pumps? The state of Florida, the Florida Petroleum Council estimated that year they lost $26 million as a result of fraud at the gas pump and stuff. And so the answer was what's called AVS, Address Verification System. Now this was 1997, 98, somewhere around in there. And it was very simple. You have to put in your zip code before you put in your card. Well, that was only going to stop someone that had already cloned a card from being able to do it. And so we started looking at other mechanisms. In fact, that never went into place. The only reason it's coming into place now is because the technology is being changed out, and so they're including that. But that's only going to stop if somebody's already got your card. Where there's virtually, if I want your card, I'm going to get it sooner or later. We see some of the craziest things. Even you give your card to somebody in a retail store and they drop your card on the floor behind the counter, and so they go, oh, excuse me, and then they bend down and they have their cell phone there and they take a picture of the front of your card. When they hand it back to you, they look at the CB2 number on the back, and when you walk away, they write the CB2 number down. So they got a photograph of the front of your card and your CB2 number, and now they're going to town. Criminals are criminals. They sit around and they think about ways to target people. So it is tough. But speaking of skimming, how do I stop this from happening to me in a restaurant? And what's the answer? That's the universal answer is cash. Problem with cash is if you lose your purse or you get robbed, nobody's giving your money back. The answer is we're a convenience-driven society. We sit at the table after we've had our meal and we have our coffee and our dessert, and we give our credit card to somebody we never met before in our lives, and they walk away with it. The answer is when it comes time to pay your bill, tell your server, say, you know what, I'm going to meet you at the cash register. I never let my credit card out of my hand. And now you go up, you meet them at the cash register, and you're able to keep a closer eye on it. It's a layer of protection. They understand, and I will put a disclaimer out. If you've ever done waiter or waitress work, it's the toughest job in the world. It is very difficult. Most of them are very integral and would never do anything to harm their customers. It's that small percentage of them that make it tough for everybody. So don't give them your credit card. Say, hey, I'll meet you at the cash register. A lot of restaurants are actually reverting back now and asking you to go to the cash register to pay your bill. So it's a simple fix. Don't give it to them, and then go to the cash register, and that way you can watch it. But while you're at the cash register, if they drop your card, you need to be leaning over and seeing what's going on. Make sure they're not taking a picture of it. So, all right, what else can I answer for you before I close out? Okay, please take advantage of the different resources that we talked about to contact us. Please follow us on Facebook. I don't care which page you follow, whether it's the Sheriff Wayne Ivey or Brevard Sheriff Official. Follow us on Facebook. We put out weekly crime prevention tips. We put out all sorts of information, fugitives we're looking for. We put up our TV shows that are going up, and within a short period of time, we'll have about 10 hours of programming a day that'll be on our TV channel. So you'll be able to play certain things for your kids, educational programs for them. All of it will be out there, and you can share it with your family. And I'm giving her a new game. Instead of mugshot looking, she can start going to our thing and looking at some of the stuff we have. So anything else? Anything I can close with? Well, let me close where I always do. Thank you for letting me serve as your sheriff. I'm having the time of my life, and I just absolutely love this job. So thank you for letting me be here this morning. Thank you, everybody.